Greetings, Inquisitors! Thank you for joining this holocron. This is the Week 61 update for the Darth Loquitur account. I update this account's progress every week, show everything that we made progress on in the account, go over the account's statistics, and talk a little bit about the plans for the future. So this week turned out to be a very big week in a surprising way. So let's get into it and see what kind of surprises we had. This is a big update. There's going to be a lot to cover. So here we go. We said that our target was Relic getting Fives to Gear 13 for this week. And we managed to get Jango Fett to Gear 13 as well. So we're going to be able to Gear 13 two characters in the same week. We did Django, now we do Fives, and we're going to leave them at Relic 0 for the moment. Pretty exciting though. I didn't expect that I was going to be able to finish out both of those characters. I'd been working on Django, and he didn't seem to be coming along fast enough, so I worked on Fives, and they both came together. We're going to mark Qui-Gon Jinn and the Magna Guard as favorites. They're Gear 12, and maybe Magna Guard will be our next target, but we'll talk about that later. We do manage to get a couple gear upgrades onto Aayla Secura here. She's part of the Jedi Master Kenobi journey, so for sure we need to keep plugging away at her. We'd really like to do Shaak, but we didn't have the pluses lit up. We said we were going to make a clones team this week. So for any who aren't familiar with the concept of the clone bomb team, you make a Relic level 5s, you build him up real big, and then you just put these other clones at a reasonable level. And once 5 sacrifices himself, the other 3 clones go crazy and kill everything. Now you'll notice that we didn't take this character all the way up to level 85. I'm starting out this promotion session with only 25 million credits, and for anyone who's built up characters before, you know that the credits go super fast when you're trying to build these characters. So we take them up to 74, 76 on Rex, and we're not quite high enough on Rex to get all the skills that we want, so we end up taking him up to level 80, but again, not all the way to 85. We're just saving credits, and you can see we've already burned through and we're down under 10 million credits just with that. So with that, the team is put together. Now we're going to go back in and we're going to work on Fives. He needs the tactical awareness Zeta. That's what allows his sacrifice to give his stats to the other clones. So clearly we need that. We do have his ship as one of our main ships in the negotiator fleet. So putting on these Omegas will help his ship now that he's at Gear 13. This skill lets him taunt if he uses his assist. And there may be a situation later where we don't want him to taunt. And I don't know that getting the taunt is that important, so we're going to leave that alone. We do develop the leadership skill as well, not necessarily because we plan to use him as a leader, but simply because it's going to help his ship to put those skills in place. So we do that. Shaak, we're going to Zeta both her leadership as well as the heightened reflexes, and that's going to be able to give these clones better performance in the team. Now, Shaak herself is pretty weak. At this point, she would probably die very early in the battle. But she is one of the Jedi Master Kenobi requirements, and we are going to be relicking this character over time anyway. So there's no fear that Shaak will be weak, and these Zetas will not go to waste. So we go ahead and put them on, and look forward to building Shaak up here in the near future. We're going to hit the Relic Amplifier on Fives. We're going to see how many upgrades we can get. And again, we've had a good cycle on relicking characters, and I did get the character requirements for Jedi Knight Revan, which I took a break from signal data, and you can see I'm just keep running out of signal data every week when I try to do some relic levels. So we get him to relic level 4, and we're out of the green signal data, so that's as far as we're going to be able to go on Fives for this week. Now, those characters also are going to need mods, so we're going to have to come back and do that here in a minute. First, we're going to see relic levels on Jango Fett, and again, we're only going to get 2 relic levels because we're going to be out of that green signal data, but okay. We'll go ahead and put those on. It's 2 more relic levels that we'll have for the next round of Grand Arena, making Jango Fett a little more of a threat. It wants to activate Rex's ship now that he's up and running, but we're not quite ready for that yet. Going over to ships, we'll take a look at what we've got here. The Rebel Y-Wing, we can take that up another star to 6. And we're not really using the Rebel Y-Wing right now. Remember, in our modified 4-ship program, we'll probably end up taking that on the Malevolence fleet somewhere. The Imperial TIE Fighter needs to be built up, and much like the characters, we're getting low on credits. We want to start the build process, but we can't really afford to build it up all the way. We take a look at what it takes to get to level 85, and that's a little rich for our blood right now, so we're going to take it to level 80. Keep some of those shipbuilding materials in the bank for later, but that allows us to start the process. Now, our TIE Fighter pilot is so low level and so weak that we can't really even work on that skill. We'd used him back at the start of the game. As you can see, up to about level 48, we had him as a character and we used him, kept leveling him up. But we abandoned him there and haven't really worked on him much since. His skills aren't developed and he's not very developed as a character. So we're going to go ahead and level him up to 76, same as the deal with the clones. We're going to give him a couple upgrades, and we're going to park him there. We're going to hit the favorites to remind ourselves to work on him. We'll get him some skills, we'll get him some mods, we'll get him some more gear tiers over time. But this soaks up the initial investment, so as we work on him now, it won't be too much more expense, and we can continue to manage our credits week to week. Down to 2.3 million shipbuilding materials, which is really low. It's really low. It's barely enough to afford a mod, and pretty much means that we can't buy any mods out of the shop until we get that credit score back up where it needs to be. All right, we've also got a few more opportunities. We look at the mods on these clones, and Shaak is okay. Her mods are decent. We take a look. She's 251 speed. That's good enough for where we're at with her right now. For Fives, we're going to work on his mods, and we're going to try to make a combination of high speed and high offense. So normally you're going to build Fives as a tanky character, but in this case, we're actually planning for him to sacrifice himself and give his stats over to the other clones. When that happens, the two most important stats that he's going to pass are his offense and his speed. So we definitely want to try to get as much speed on him as we can, and we want to try to get as much offense as we can. The health and protection, those stats will take care of themselves. Because he's a relic level character, they'll already be getting a ton of it. Now we've got this really nice defense mod with 23 speed, but at the end of the day, we do want to try to match a set. And we've got a 21 speed health mod here that we can put on him that's free. So we're going to go ahead and apply that and put a speed mod into the diamond position. Then here on the cross, we want to try to get offense. So we're looking through for offense percent speed crosses. So at the end of the day, we don't have too many good options there. Nothing that has good enough speed for us to want to do it. So then we just maximize the offense where we can on these other stats. Here's a arrow that has a pretty good flat offense and percent offense on it, so we can work on that. We get his speed up to 257 and his damage up to 5157. That's pretty good for him for Relic 4, and those are the stats that he'll give over to the other clones when he sacrifices. So good enough for now. With Rex, we do want Rex to be quite fast. The damage on Rex is okay. He's not a bad damage dealer. But more importantly, you need Rex to take a lot of turns and keep getting himself back around to the cooldown on his aerial assault. So the more speed we have on him, then if Fives does sacrifice, it adds more speed to him. So he gets going really fast, and the aerial advantage comes up really fast. So with the mods we got on him, we got him to 223. Again, he's really low gear, so that's about as well as we can do for right now. Then we're going to do Echo and the Arc Trooper with critical damage builds. So again, we're relying on the sacrifice mechanic. If it comes to that, Fives will give up his life and give a ton of offense to these guys. So we need to worry a lot less about offense and a lot more about crit chance and crit damage. Just make these guys hit as hard as they can. I don't have a good crit damage triangle, so here you see I'm working on a crit damage triangle. Managed to hit 9 speed on it, which isn't bad. It is a gold mod with 9 speed, so we're not terribly happy that we only got 2 speed rolls on it. But that'll work for now for Arc Trooper. He doesn't really need the speed that much, but crit chance, crit damage, just so that when he gets the extra offense, he'll be doing as much damage as he possibly can. Same thing here with Echo. We're just building him with a crit damage set. And unfortunately, these guys' stats at this low of gear is pretty weak. But yeah, we're going to give him as much crit chance, a little bit of speed, and just try to make it so that when 5 sacrifices, they have max damage. 1458 is his current damage stat. So remember, we get like 51, 57 from 5s, and that would make that stat total almost 7,000. So it would increase the hits by basically, 3 times more damage. All right, Vandor Chewbacca gets another star. We're basically only farming him on days when we have to farm hard nodes, but we get his get him up another level. Here I'm making some carbonite circuit boards. On the bottom level, I'm keeping the total amount over 500. Here I want to keep around 100 of most of these pieces. So I'm just going along picking all the stuff that's got, over 100 and make some stuff there. Same thing here, keep around 500, just under 500. And we'll take the top materials that we have and just convert that into bronzium wiring. Sacrifice a little bit of everything without running out. Here we're going to take the numbers down to around 50. And here we'll use up a bunch of the stuff at the top. And then I kind of change my mind and I put some of it back and say, okay, well, I'll use that stuff up later if I really need it. But I kind of have enough of the chromium transistors and the bronzium wiring for right now. For Rhodium Heatsinks, I've been looking at this. Typically, we only use the Scener Hollow projectors for this. But we are getting a lot of Mark V stun guns to the extent that I can't keep up with them with the Carbantes. We're also getting Mark V droid callers at a very good rate, and those are both options to make heatsinks. So I end up actually converting some stun guns and some Mark V droid callers in order to make a good stash of that relic material. Now here we're working on Zimbital cards. Remember, we want to really push to get some of these characters to Relic 7 or 8 where they need to be. So here we're going to make 20 Zimbital cards. Don't necessarily need to do that right now, but I'm trying to get ahead of the game, and I just want to show you guys I'm crunching up everything. With the impulse detectors, we need a total of 40 of them because we do have 2 characters that we have to get to Relic 8. So now we're up to 30. And we kind of reset our stock on those particular materials. But I don't mind to either wait for them or farm them up a little bit with those impulse detectors in the bank. So a lot of stuff happened in the account this week. We got 2 characters to Gear 13. We started a clone team. We modded them. We went from 25 million to under 2 million credits on the account. So used up all of our money in both credits and almost all of our money in fleets. Anyway, that's the way it goes when you expand your roster. So week 61, our GP took a huge jump up to 2.38 million. That was 90,000 galactic power we added in this session. It really was a lot. But we did start a new ship, which always adds a ton of galactic power. We added 4 new characters, 5 new characters, I think, actually. So a lot of extra galactic power this week. We went from 21 relics to 23. That was nice. It was a bit of, like I said, a bit of a surprise in the timing. The Zetas, we applied 3 more, so we're up to 36 total Zetas applied right now. Squad Arena, we're still with C and Watt in the top 50. Fleet Arena, we're still using our Negotiator fleet and getting top 5. Usually number 1 whenever I can play. I don't always get to play all my matchups, but I can still get first in fleet with the fleet that I have, which is good. The project. I debated, putting on another relic project for 3 weeks, but I think over the course of the next week, my project is really going to be to develop enough signal data get the other Zimbiddle cards in place, and push Kenobi up to Relic 8 next week. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start trying to set 2-week cycles on the relicing of characters, and then from time to time set aside a week like this to just to work on relic materials. So we're going to see how this goes. We're trying something a little different, but yeah, I think I just need to focus on farming up those high relic materials and getting Kenobi all the way up to Relic 8. Again, he's the captain of the ship that I use for my fleet. He's good in Grand Arena. He's good in Conquest and all the game modes, so it's a character that I feel like if we ever have to R8 him, we might as well get him to Relic 8 sooner rather than later, because then we get to take advantage of that beastie tank the whole time. All right, for next week, it's the exact same plan as last week. Vulture Droid, Hyena Bomber, BTLB, the TIE Bomber, the Armor, Bo-Katan. Stretching my energy really thin. For the last few weeks, I've just farmed those nodes and the Chirotech Shaak prods. It's really all I've farmed. But with the extra gear that we're getting and the ability to buy other gear that I need out of the shop, its progress has been really good. In Fleet, we're going to continue with B1, the Gauntlet, and the Rebel Y-Wing. Cantina, we're just farming signal data. Mods, we're going for speed. Refreshes are the same pattern, and then Cantinas get refreshed when the daily guild quest is Cantina Energy or All Energy. Squad Arena Store, we're buying Prestige once a day. We're also buying a bunch of the little stuff at the bottom. At some point, I need to probably make some information available to you guys on that. A lot of the materials that are available at the bottom of that Squad Arena Store now translate to bronzium wiring. So for the ones that have a good conversion rate to bronzium wiring, or even for some of them that I think there's some that go for carbonite circuit boards, and the price out of the Squad Arena shop I think is a very reasonable conversion to buy those materials with the intention just to smash them up and make relic building materials. Everything else is going to the shard shop. So with the account, the reason I've been expanding, if I do make it to Chromium, remember, I need 4 more teams. In addition to the fleets, you need 4 fleets, but you also need 4 more teams. And if I'm going to get Chromium and hold it, then I do need to spread the account out just a little further, and I've been doing that over the last few weeks. So we need 4 more teams. We've got the clones. Qui-Gon has been very effective with a bunch of little Jedi. So in that regard, we pretty much got a whole team for Qui-Gon that's pretty effective on offense. For defense, we've got the Scoundrels, and we had kind of a mixed Scoundrel team, and Queel was with the Bounty Hunters to beef them up. But we're going to build Zam, and we're going to put the Omicron onto Zam, and putting her with the Scoundrels, with the Bounty Hunters, will then free up the Scoundrels, and I can make another Scoundrel team with Queel again and use that on defense. And then eventually, we don't have this in place yet, but once we get the Gauntlet Starfighter going, we're going to make a Mando team with Bo-Katan, Django, Gar, Saxon, Super Commando, and Canderous. It's not that that's the best team in the world. Those characters will be in the account anyway. And then Canderous I'll build because eventually, if I go for Darth Revan, I'll need the Canderous. So the Mando team is still in progress, but we're in good shape with the clones, the Qui-Gon Jinn, and getting Zam started and moving that toward an Omicron. And I'm almost ready for my next Omicron on the Loquitur account, surprisingly. So I will have earned, of course, the Qui-Gon Jinn one, and this will be the second one. And then we can save up and try to figure out what the very best third Omicron will be for the account. But I don't mind committing those 2 right away. I feel like those are top-notch Omicrons for Grand Arena. Then the next question is, if I do well in Chromium and we manage to get those four fleets, stabilized in some way, how could we make it to a Rhodium? So within the JMK journey, what are we going to do and how are we going to get more teams? So a lot of the JMK journey characters I already have assigned to the teams that I've been expanding into Rhodium. So here's for Chromium. So my thoughts on Rhodium are basically to start preparing myself for the Executor. And I may or may not go for the Executor. It depends on whether or not they introduce another different capital ship. But if that's not on the horizon, if we haven't seen that announcement from Capital Games, then we can start working, once we're done with this cycle of hard node farms, we can start on the cycle of hard node farms for the rest of the bounty hunter ships, Xanadu Blood, and bring Xanadu and IG-2000 ships online and start working on those bounty hunters. And that'll let me make a second bounty hunter team. And even if I don't build the Executor, it'll be fine to build a second bounty hunter team. And if I do, then I'll already have the materials coming together for that. With the Jedi Knight Revan team, I built Jedi Knight Revan, and then with Qui-Gon Jinn, it was easy. I just put him on the Qui-Gon Jinn team, and it became a Qui-Gon Jinn team instead of a Revan team. But going into the next phase, I think then we actually build the Jedi Knight Revan team, especially assuming that we're going to have to fight a lot more General Grievous on defense. So getting that team together to fight Grievous, I think, will be important. And then the Qui-Gon Jinn team, we've proven that that can work with pretty much any little Jedi that you want to put on there. Probably will be time to grab Darth Revan. And again, this probably comes after we get JMK. This is probably, 4 or 5 months down the road that I'm thinking ahead. But we will start, farming up Bastila Shan Fallen and doing some things like that with the idea that we're going to get Darth Revan at some point. We'll be able to build the Old Republic scoundrels then, depending on how things shake out with the DR journey and all that and the timing. But I think we can put together another scoundrels team. Do something with Mission and Zalbar, who we've already had to bring up to 7 stars. So we can make some kind of team out of that. For the Beskar Armor Mando journey, it's not that bad. We're pretty well positioned for it. We've already got Grief Karga built up. We've started working on IG-11, which is nice. We've got Queel already built from building the Imperial TIE Bomber. The Mandalorian we're going to want to build as part of that second bounty hunter team anyway, which just leaves us with Cara Dune to develop, so it doesn't feel like we're that far off. And if we can manage to get Cat, then we'll follow up getting Cat with getting the Razor Crest, if we do decide to go for that Executor journey. I think in terms of squaring up the account for Rhodium, the Jedi Master Kenobi journey will get us there. And really all we're going to be doing is improving the characters to make Jedi Knight Revan his own team and viable, starting to build up the requirements for Darth Revan, and then Beskar Armor Mando. So again, that's like 5 months worth of thinking, but I think that's kind of how the team building is going to go. And I'll end up with quite a bit of stuff in the roster, but hey, that's the new GAC system. You're going to have to be wide enough to hold your position if you can advance. But with 2 Galactic Legends, 4 functional fleets, and a bunch of these little teams like this that punch above their weight, I feel like I'll be able to climb into Rhodium at, maybe, let's say 3.2 to 3.5 million galactic power, and I should already be up in Rhodium. That's my plan. That's my hope. We'll see if we can get there. All right, that's going to wrap up the update for this week. Remember, everybody, always farm your mods. Makes a huge difference in how your account plays. And even if you don't like mods, you need a good strategy. Watch my mod mastery guides and find out the best tools and tips and tricks, and make sure that you've got a great mod inventory. Hit the like saber. Use your like saber on the like button. Smash that thing, crash it, crush it. It's for free. It helps me. It helps the channel. So if you could do that, I would truly appreciate it. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell to watch more videos like this in the future. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next Holocron.